Hello everyone. This is a gameplay replay of a match of Age of Empires 4 that I played as the French against a pretty competent Rus player, Skid Row. I apologize for the delay in video making. So I've been playing a lot of Age of Empires 4 recently. I was always a fan of Age of Empires 2, 1, 3, Mythology, so I've been enjoying playing this game a lot. And I think that I'm going to start streaming this game, actually. I'm not the best in the world. I'm not. I'm not like #1 ranked worldwide or anything. But I think I'm okay. I'm pretty decent. The highest I got was 55 NA, and that was about 1 week ago. Although since then I started playing the French, and my win rate has just plummeted like a rock. I was initially playing a lot of Rus, who I felt a lot more comfortable with, but there's a Springald nerf that is coming out next week, or at least from when I'm recording this next week, and I have my suspicions that Rus is going to be a little worse after it comes out. But anyway, in this match, we're playing on Mountain Pass, I believe this is called. So you have this one giant obstructable terrain feature that cuts through half of the map, leaving only this one little choke in the middle. Nothing really to say about our Dark Ages. I think both of us are, doing the normal thing. I suppose something to note is, here you can see this is a little micro battle because they removed animation canceling. I am actually able to deny that deer. And that one too. So once the scout shoots an arrow to try to kill the deer, it'll take like 3 seconds for you to be able to shoot again. This game I decided to build a second scout at 8 pop. So that's why I have 2 of them, in case you're curious. And I get my age up at about 228, which is okay. Just idling some villagers for fun. Rus is a very powerful civ, I think. They have a lot of really strong tools throughout the Castle Age and the Imperial Age. And I've been noticing that the more online games I play, the more often these games seem to go long. Perhaps that's just because I'm not putting on the aggression, so I'm not killing my opponent fast enough, but I've been playing games, and this past week, the majority of them have been going to about 30 minutes, or if not more, in this case, 43 minutes. Which I think is sort of a hindrance to early game civs like the English, who have a lot of front-loaded power in the early game, and they sort of fall off later. I think the French are like that too. I think the French have very strong feudal age, an insanely strong castle age with their bloodlines technology, giving them 35% extra HP on all their cavalry from one of their H3 landmarks. I don't actually like to go the Stimmy check landmark. I forget what it's called, but it's the one that, you collect your big bucks. I don't actually like that one very much. Because I find playing an Imperial Age game with the French generally means I lose. I don't have as good Springolds as anybody else. I have decent cannons, but against Rus especially, their Springolds are going to have 13.5 range. My Culverins only going to have 12 range from my Royal Artillery. It's not going to work. Anyway, we finally get Feudal Age, so we can talk a little bit more about the game. Rus has got only food and wood, 8 food, 11 wood, which is pretty expected. You don't generally go for gold as Rus. And he's immediately getting professional scouts. I believe I'm also doing so. Yes, I'm also getting professional scouts. I like to use the School of Cavalry landmark to... I actually supply blocked myself a little bit. I like to use this to get out scouts early. Just because I generally have some food floating, and because they produce 20% faster, it works out. Coupled with the professional scouts upgrade being quite a bit cheaper. So I see his scouts are hanging out here. I think, okay, they're going to try for these deer camps. These two right next to each other. He's got a deer camp over here and one way down here. I'd also like to just point out that this map is incredibly imbalanced. Like, what is this? I have one relic over here. We have a couple in the middle. You know, granted, there's this massive forest, but he's got guaranteed 2 on his side. Maybe a third. This is kind of sketchy. This one could go either way. I've only got 1. I've got 1 on my side. Anyway, he finishes professional scouts and he takes 5 of the deer. However, I'm over here taking a couple of his deer. So let's keep track of this so we can count how many deer each of us get, because that sort of determines who got the better payout. So he's rolling with a big squad of 5 and he picked up 5 deer. There are 4 deer spots on the map, and each one has 7 carcasses. 7 times 350 is, 2,250, I think. And yeah, so there's 7 carcasses in each patch. So he's picking up 5 there. I think it'll be easier if I just follow him, so that way I don't have to count mine. In total, there's 28. There's 28 deer bodies on the battlefield. So again, he's going over, he's picking up these deer, he's harassing me. I actually managed to take one of them. I guess he forgot about that, or it was out of his line of sight, or maybe he just didn't notice it. I get way too close to his town center. He garrisons, he kills one of my scouts. It's sad, but not the end of the world. Otherwise, this guy's taking a pretty passive way of playing. You can see he's using his supplies to get stone from his golden gate. So he's going to second town center, and I believe that's because he spotted me mining stone. So he figures, oh, okay, the French player is going for a second town center, which is correct. That is what I was doing. So he actually gets his second town center up way faster than mine. My plan was boom in Feudal Age and then go for a pretty aggressive maneuver in Castle Age and end the game there. The French do have one major advantage over the Rus, and that is that they have stone walls, and the Rus do not. Granted, reinforced palisades are actually kind of overpowered in regards to Springmold AI. So he's going to finish his second town center. If I go over to income per minute, yeah, I mean, okay, I'm making more gold, more stone, whatever. He's making more wood. Food's about even. It's an even game currently. Could go either way. I start building my second town center at 8 minutes and 29 seconds. I'm not... Am I anywhere near the Castle Age? No, not really. He's got 31 villagers to my 31. Which makes sense because I skipped one villager early on, 8 pop, to make a scout. So it makes sense. So he's going to try to wall off this. So there's this really nice forested area here. It's going to make any sort of aggression quite difficult from either player. It's very hard to maneuver around this giant forest. So I'm coming out with some scouts because I'm thinking I need to get the remaining deer camps on his side of the map. I picked up the deer over here so he doesn't actually collect any of the ones over there. So in total, he got 15 deer carcasses. If you were paying attention, he got 5 here, he got 5 here, and he got 5 here, and he didn't take this one left over. So if he got 15, no, sorry, he didn't get 15. Over here, he only took 3 because I took 2 and then I took another 2. Did I? No, I only took 1. Yeah, I took 1, I remember. So that means he got 13. So Well, 13 minus 28 is 15, so I got 15 deer carcasses. I say that's a win for me. Marginal, you know, it's only a difference of 700 food, but he does push me off gold. With all these scouts, I don't want to lose any villagers. Researching melee armor. I feel like upgrades are easy to forget about, but they are game-changing, and you should always get them. I just have one Royal Knight chasing around all these scouts. And I'm building a couple outposts here in the back, thinking, okay, you know, he could do run-bys down the middle. Yeah. I kind of know he's doing those palisades, but not fully aware. So he gets his Abbey of the Trinity. It's very late. It's very late. Like, that was 10:55. I think most good players can do this at 9 minutes, or finish it at 9 minutes. Start building it at, like, closer to 7. So it's actually pretty late, but it's, you know, fine. He went for a second town center instead. Immediately slaps down 4 barracks and starts producing spearmen. Which against the French, you know, that makes a lot of sense. Do I kill one of his scouts here? Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I wall off on this side just because if he has a wall, then that means he has the reactivity ability. He can push out, I can't push in, so I do that. I put that wall down just as a defensive measure. Getting a market, getting more upgrades. What is he doing? He is pumping out men-at-arms. Strong unit. Men-at-arms and spearmen. Spearmen to counter my knights, and men-at-arms to just beat everything. I'm still in the feudal age at this point. Like, I have more than enough gold. I think that's why I built the market, because I was worried that I was my build is sort of like collapsing. I'm just sort of doing random stuff at this point. Let's see, does he have any relics? He did get one. Yeah, he got the one that was over here. And so I positioned my knights over here, so I'm like, okay, just trying to torch down that wall. I'm going to be able to deny the monk getting this relic. And I've walled off this side over here, just sitting on this relic. I am finally building the Royal Institute to go to Castle Age. I don't know why my knights didn't have their lances out. I guess it wasn't a far enough distance. Yeah, but he's able to take that and then get out, which is sad. And he's got quite a force here. 4 men-at-arms, 7 spearmen. I have 1 barracks. And that's it. Just the School of Cavalry. So I'm playing a pretty greedy game currently. Compared to what my Rus opponent is doing. He's at 60. I'm at 64 villagers. He's at 60. Which I don't know if my macro was slipping, if I just wasn't producing enough villagers, or yeah, or what. But anyway, something to note is he does not have a blacksmith. So he is using vanilla units here. He does manage to snag that relic. I probably could have denied that. Finally get to Castle Age, we immediately get decarbonization for free. So we do 31 damage on the charge. Could one-shot this monk if all my knights charged into him. But instead we go for his berries. Yeah, again, that knight just put down his lance. This is like... See, if I was more familiar with the French, maybe I could... really tempting fate with that one. If I was better with the French, maybe I could abuse the lance charges more. It's probably because I have these scouts roaming around and body blocking that it's messing me up. But I like having a scout with my army because it gives me more vision. Like, I can see pretty clearly around. So he pushes me away with his blob of 7 spears. While this is happening, I have 4 more knights that are trying to crack through this reinforced palisade wall, and I am building men-at-arms. I'm building men-at-arms only because his army comp that he's shown to me is entirely unupgraded men-at-arms. Like, his do 12 damage and have 4/4. Mine have 5/5, and, well, they don't do 16 damage with a torch, but I'm pretty sure they do 14 damage. Anyway, I put down a couple archery ranges. I've got a siege workshop. And he's just moving a lot of spearmen. It's going to be a nasty fight for me. Spearmen doing 32 damage a hit. And 1 scout gets dragged down. But the rest managed to fall back. And garrison inside that tower. I've still got some units just running around his base being annoying. Mining from that stone, that gold, this wood camp. Just got some men-at-arms that are being chased by his whole army, comically. I had a knight. Where did he go? Did I just suicide him? No, he's over here. So these men-at-arms bravely turn to fight this swarm of spearmen. And you see the spearmen do, like, piddly damage against them. But he's eventually killed, sadly. So, villager count, I'm at 85. He is at 75. He does have 3 relics, though, so he's getting 300 gold a minute off those relics. Just have a knight harassing him. That's something that's really important for any newer players out there. I lose control of that knight and he gets killed. But for any new players out there, very important to keep harassing your opponent. That's like maybe one of the most important mechanics, not just of Age of Empires 4, but any RTS. I don't know why I brought a villager up here. This warrior monk's free. Yeah, that was cool. He slaps down 4 siege workshops. A bit late, if you ask me. He was more interested in making a big blob of spearmen, men-at-arms. Thankfully, I do have some archers, so hypothetically, if I'm target firing, I should have an advantage in this fight. And I think this choke favors me, because most of his units are just bouncing around, not doing anything. And I do pull back, I guess just for the charge attack. Yeah, I think this fight really favors me here, because again, most of these units aren't doing any DPS. But he's putting up a keep nearby. So while I think that fight went pretty well, not going to be able to push through this anymore. Although we are getting some villager kills, which is good. In the meantime, yeah, Roos, being a good player, just putting hunting cabins everywhere he can, generating a lot of gold off of all of these. Over the course of a long game, I mean, they're pretty amazing. Again, just harassing his villagers everywhere I can. My economy is completely unperturbed. I don't have royal bloodlines yet, but I did get the... it's like the crossbow melee armor, because I saw he was going pretty hard in a melee unit. So my arbalists have 8 melee armor, which seems to me insane. Like, the spearmen do 1 damage against them. Seems crazy. And here we have the most powerful tool, the Springald. Roos making a lot of them. I did produce a siege workshop, but I didn't build anything out of it. You can see this Roos player. I don't really know exactly what he's doing, but he's just floating a shit ton of resources. Like an insane amount of money. Granted, you know, I look over and I see I have 2,000. I have 2,000 gold sitting doing nothing. What am I doing? I'm getting upgrades. He still has no upgrades. He still has no upgrades. Very big. Very important. I put down a couple more siege workshops only in response to his. I don't really enjoy Springgold Micro. I think it's a little obnoxious, but you know, it is what it is. Lots of stables, lots of archery ranges. If I was a better French player, what I should have done is, you can see I spend my resources now. If I was a better French player, I would have built a keep, maybe like right here, and then built all those production buildings around the keep, because as the French, it makes those units a lot cheaper. I don't know what this trader's doing. I mean, yeah, I don't know what I don't know. Anyway, we get the trebuchet. He is capturing the sacred site, or he was thinking about it. He's done a weird wedge wall over here. And here come the Springalds. So he's got 93 villagers to my 112. 113 now. And he starts sniping off my units. I'm fine if he wants to snipe archers instead of something more important. That is okay with me. Do we get a freebie here? Yeah, we get one. No, 1 for 1. Just counting Springgold's number. Okay, so there's a 1 for 1. Ooh, nah. I think he out-traded there. And while, of course, this whole fight was happening, he just has a shit ton of money, so he does some market abuse and builds the High Armory, immediately starts researching Bandit Arms. An incredibly powerful upgrade. Sort of feeding my army here. I wasn't sure if he could target my trebuchet. Yeah, he definitely should be able to. If he can target my Springolds, he can target my trebuchet. So I kind of wanted to have the AI malfunction and shoot these units instead. But this is terrible for me. Like, I'm losing tons of very expensive equipment. But over here, I built a gate and am harassing with some knights. Again, I don't know why that charge failed. Archer's not very good against men-at-arms. We're able to get 1 there. Get 2, he kills 1. And we don't get away, but it's an even trade, 2 for 2. Still just continuing to mass out units. Started to get some farms. He already has a lot of farms. He's switching very hard into a big farm economy. You can see his wood income is immense. Although my gold is much better. Which is strange. You would think his would be pretty good, considering he has 3 sacred sites in this, or 3 relics in this easily obtainable sacred site. So he hits Elite Spearman. Doing quite a bit of damage to knights. Thankfully, I have some archers here, so we should be able to clean this up pretty easily. Unfortunately, I am working with Castle H units, and he is working with Imperial H units. Again, just tossing away Springolds. Jesus, that's terrible. That was like 4 Springolds just thrown away. Yeah, really bad. Really bad. I do pull his attention away, though, over here. So his Springolds have 13.5 tiles range. Mine only have 10, because I am still not in Imperial Age. I am doggedly remaining in Castle Age. I do have 2 relics. I was able to pick up that one and the one over here a few minutes ago. Sorry, there's just so much action going on across the map, it's kind of hard to pay attention to all of it. Roos has his library, not researching anything yet though, and I'm still trying to track down this castle. I build my keep up here, and he starts building a palisade in response. My opponent's palisades are very annoying to deal with, which is really just to say he built them smartly. And so I'm moving my Springold mass because I see he's moving his mass over here. And yeah, just sort of taking a breather for a moment. Well, maybe we not pause, but just slow down a little bit. See, I have full upgrades. He has mostly Feudal Age upgrades. He has yet to click on the Castle Age ones. So he is still behind, although granted now he does have the blacksmiths, so he can get them soon. Spits out 4 trebuchets to start knocking the door of my keep. He is still macroing. Really impressive display from my opponent to not give up making villagers, even though, you know, some other things have slipped. I'm actually maxed out here at 137 villagers, 63 military. He has only 109 villagers and 50 military. So our armies are basically comparable in terms of number, but I think his are of much greater quality. Only having a few infantrymen, mostly big siege equipment pieces. Wow, that was a cool action shot. And yeah, he's planning for this late Imperial Age game that we are experiencing here, although I'm still not. I am building the College of Artillery now, which perhaps in retrospect was a mistake. Maybe the optimal choice would have been to get the other upgrade, the Red Palace. Features high damage arbalest emplacements. I mean, it's a keep. It's a keep that doesn't cost stone. But, I don't know. I think this is good. I'm pretty sure the 20% more damage is bugged. I feel like it only does 2% more. But I don't know that for certain. Still, I mean, having access to culverins is great. Not really against roofs, though, because they just outrange your culverin anyway. So he moves his Springold mass. I am not paying attention. He kills my trebuchet. I'm just running around with my knights, getting some freebies. I'm, you know, with this... So with the biology upgrade, see, I have a 311 HP, which feels kind of insane. His spearmen do 12 damage now, so 40 damage to cavalry. I finally get an Imperial Age, and I'm just like running around with these knights. I guess I'd try to kill a Springold. Yeah, don't even kill one. Although he has 0 HP. How? He has 0 HP. Whatever. He's working on his upgrades. Am I getting mine? Yes. Yeah, as soon as I say that, yeah, I immediately go get those. So my unit quality is much greater than his, with the exception of these Springolds. But these spearmen are very weak, very squishy. Whereas my knights have 6/6 armor and a 311 HP, and they're gonna have more armor. They're gonna be 7/7. And I build a offensive keep here after he blew up this one. So I've got 8 Springolds to his 7 here. So I should win if my micro is better. What you have to know about Springolds is, assuming normal HP, not astrological clock tower HP, Springolds from the Chinese, 3 shots is enough to eliminate one, so you just select 3, you right-click one Springold, you select another 3, you right-click one Springold. It's really hard to tell, because he's like clumping them on top of each other. I'm hesitant to send in my knights. I'm still waiting for my upgrades to finish, but I finally get them. So 365 HP on these knights. Unfortunately, he has a big infantry blob. Lucky for me, he doesn't blow up my artillery. He goes for my knights. Goes for an all-in over here. And you can see the culverin. It does 102 damage, but I feel like it's supposed to do 120. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it does like 90 damage by default or something. Anyway, very cost-effective trade for my opponent. I've got a bunch of barracks back here now, just spitting out men-at-arms. I'm getting a library, farming, eco in the back. So I'm trying to eco behind here. I do have trade, just as he also has trade. We both have had trade going this whole time. Am I still at 200 pop? No. I'm at 138 villagers. And hand cannoneers, which are one of my favorite units. Men-at-arms, elite knights. Yeah. I mean, he's got a lot more HP, a lot more trash. Also, he gets the Saint's Blessing buff, which gives 2 extra damage and 1 extra armor, which is actually pretty insane with the Warrior Monk up here in the front line. Like, it's actually pretty relevant. Because these spearmen are very low damage units, so they don't do much against the heavy armor of the men-at-arms, but every little bit of extra damage matters. So I'm kind of just like feeding in troops. Wow, the French men-at-arms have ridiculous gold hats, but nothing else. Just the helmet is solid gold. It looks dreadful. It's like a Japanese school child or something. Like, that's ridiculous. Wow, my opponent is really macroing up here. 2 more siege workshops, a bunch of barracks. He's getting massive trade, 186 gold off this trade. I mean, just look at the gold income for him is outstanding. My food is way better, though. My food is better, although I'm kind of like chopping every tree back here. I still got these forests. Oh, I'm working on this one. That's another thing to note is the eco upgrades. I wonder if he got all of them. He got all the lumber. Did he get all the food? He did. He did get all the food. Did he get the mining? He did. He did. Yeah, that's something, that's a slip up I made, is not getting those full, like getting that horticulture, or the precision crossbreeding, whatever. The saw, and that, copulation? Anyway, just could have been more resources that I could have gathered. I'm almost at 200 pop with 140 villagers. Wow. He is maxed out, though, at 131. Very cool. Normally, I see lots of players cap out at like 100 villagers. But I was inspired by a certain pro StarCraft 2 player, although not anymore, rest in peace, who suggested going 130 villagers, so that's what I've tried to do. So yeah, just trying to work on this gate, throwing a few men-at-arms to their death while he's cracking that keep. There's actually a hole here. There's actually a hole in the wall. We break down that first one. And yeah, there's a hole in this wall too. So we're able to run in and just whacking on this keep, and then this is when it all comes tumbling down as I just run a bunch of horsemen into his farm economy and yeah, just start having fun. Although while this is happening, do keep in mind my opponent is just floating a ludicrous amount of resources. Like this is a game losing amount of resources to be hoarding. I don't have nearly as big a Swiss bank account. But I'm just in the back, harassing, I'm ripping his trade up, I'm running through the farmland, killing all those villagers, I'm running forward now that this keep's dead, and his army is sort of being, like, stymied by this single stone wall and the keep that was over here. And he's not really moving in response. So yeah, he garrisons in these towers. You could see his side of the map is just a ridiculous amount of like ping, 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 under attack, under attack. Oh, even my archers have that ridiculous yellow helmet. I'm trying to repair this keep, losing a lot of villagers. I bad control on my part, just tossing away that royal culverin. But I'm trying to like macro or micro back here, and also macro at home, to be fair, trying to produce more units. I really need these two upgrades, I think, would be good. Yeah, working on his Abbey of the Trinity, trying to deny his gold income. You can see he has 82 idle villagers, because his town centers are all filled up, and his towers are also all filled up. He has one villager producing food. He has nothing on wood. He has a ton on gold, though, up here. But he just has such a ludicrous bank of resources that it doesn't actually matter that his economy is completely crippled. I mean, look at the income in the top left. It's absurd. And I'm actually starting to push out here. He does eventually take down my keep, unfortunately. But yeah, the entire economy down here. Oh, one trader got through. Unfortunate. Trying to blow up his you can see just how like little damage these wooden fortresses do to elite horsemen. And I'm just trying to kill villagers. He's down to 102. He's lost like 30, 40 villagers from this attack. I'm at 130 still. I lost like 10 up here on that keep. And his artillery is still just like sitting around the back. I'd push up this cannon. Actually kill one Springald with it. Wow, I can't even one-shot those Springalds. Yeah, that's pretty bad. He gets his economy back to work. Finally. But as that happens, I'm just running in more horsemen. Rebuilt the wall over here. His army over here was just fighting my reinforcements constantly. And so we go for the high armory. I figure, like, hey, it's a landmark. He's winning off of his siege weapons. If we can break his siege, then I probably have a chance in this game. Although I was feeling pretty good, like, running around with random units, just killing villagers in the back line. I felt like I was really taxing his ability to play this game optimally, whereas I'm completely fine. You know, there's nothing going on back here, just peaceful, idyllic French Isengarding the entire natural world. And my food income is immense, but he still has a crazy amount of resources banked. Yeah, again, I don't, but I'm just spending my resources as I get them. Granted, he is also spending his resources. He is finally getting those Imperial Age upgrades that he has neglected for so long. Looks like he actually canceled. He canceled the range damage upgrade as it was about to finish. Why? What? That must have been a misclick. He's rebuilding his abbey. We're still harassing his farming in the back. Just like sending in extremely expensive knights to torch his trebuchets. I mean, I guess killing a trebuchet is actually worth it. These things cost 1,000 resources. Oh, only 600 for him because of his high armory. Yeah, my armory is a little less impressive. Yeah, I'm just continuing to like stream bodies. I've even got some spearmen in the mix, I think. Or do I not make any? Oh, here we go. Yeah. So I got some spearmen doing 14 damage. I don't, like, crazy. And I'm about to finish Elite Army Tactics, and you can see they go up to doing 17 damage a hit. Is it just me, or is that, like, insanely good? Like, 17 damage on a trash unit is crazy. Like, the Elite Men-at-Arms, these guys do 20 damage. We take down the landmark. His trade is still going pretty good, though. He's, like, mined out everything. I think at this point we've both completely mined the entire map. Yeah, there's nothing left. There's just trade, relics, sacred sites. That's all you're going to get. And, of course, hunting cabins, which I'm doing my best to destroy when I find them. We have blown up a couple. Puts down a very aggressive keep over here. And I'm still just running horsemen around. Just, like, through his farmland, being annoying. trying to hurt him in a way that he can't respond, because this entire game he's like never made cavalry at all, like not even horse archers. So yeah, I'm just trying to ride around, be annoying. um, he does build this keep, which is, you know, it's gonna kill all these men-at-arms eventually. But yeah, look at these. Like, these spearmen are actually, like, able to beat men-at-arms, because they, at least in terms of a cost ratio, these things, when fully upgraded, are stupid high DPS. 17 damage just seems absolutely insane to me. 32 villagers idling. His giant Swiss bank account has evaporated, but he does still actually have an offshore account with all that gold. His trade is still going. He is still continuing to produce traders. He has never stopped producing traders this whole game, although his population has crumbled to 119, whereas I'm like maxing out. Although credit to my opponent, he is still trying. He is still doing everything he possibly can. He is still making springolds, even while his economy is being harassed in the back endlessly. He doesn't actually get these relics back in the Abbey of Trinity, I guess. And now I'm running over here because there's a hole in the wood line that he created from chopping. Rather, there's a hole in the trees. Pull back from that keep, though. And he's just trying to get, like, a massive springolds, but I'm just pumping out garbage, just waves and waves of trash that he has to deal with, that he can't realistically deal with. Wow, I'm floating a huge amount of stone and wood. Maybe I should build like a third town center? I only have 2 at this point. Yeah, still trying to macro back here, still trying to find things for the villagers to do. And I take these villagers and I go and I'm putting a keep in his face. He brings out a warrior monk with one of his many relics. Oh, it kind of looked like he was going to try to do a conversion. Or I don't know what he's doing. I guess he's trying to do the duplication glitch or something. No, I don't think so. That got patched. This one elite horseman holding up 15 villagers who knife him to death. And his frontal production's kind of been hammered, and all these villagers over here got killed. His wood income is nothing. I've pushed him off of wood completely. There's a few trees hanging out around the back of his base, but yeah, no wood at all, which means no artillery, assuming he's, you know, not getting it from the Golden Gate, which he probably should. Tries to run up with a warrior monk. Maybe that would have worked if he had like 3 warrior monks. But that was never going to work. We build the keep, although lose like 10 villagers doing it. Yeah, still just like harassing his economy. He's finally below 100 population. He still has a huge amount of villagers, though. He's never stopped making villagers this game. Which, you know what? Yeah, kudos to my opponent, who does give up at that point, calls GG. And man, this game was like being hit by a truck, for me, at least. I mean, you could just see, like, look at all these dead keeps everywhere. Very, very hard-fought game. There was some mistakes made by both sides, but you know what? I think, ultimately, even if you make mistakes, it's okay, because it's just an opportunity for a learning experience. Like in that game, my opponent probably would have done a lot better, if not beaten me, if he got upgrades, you know, from his blacksmith sooner. I probably threw away too many cavalry. Maybe I needed to go double archery range instead of building that barracks. Do a ram push as he's getting his greedy castle age. Although he castle aged pretty slow, honestly. Yeah, you can see in villager count, it was super close. Even as the French, even with 2 town centers, I think I only got it because I was just constantly harassing him, just harrying him always from, like, very early on. The only harassment he did to me this whole game was on my gold mine with those 5 scouts. And I mean, you saw my reaction. My reaction to that was to put down 2 towers, which maybe is actually a little extreme. Maybe that's actually too much of an investment. I put down 2 because I had 10 villagers, so you could garrison 5 and then 5 in both of them. So that was my thought process behind that. But even that little harassment caused a pretty big resource investment for me, 200 wood. So you could just imagine doing harassment endlessly throughout the whole game. Yeah, and our armies were constantly waxing and waning. Really, it just came down to the fact that he had so many resources that even when I crushed his economy, completely eliminated all food, all wood, he had so much. He just had so much. And I think that's partially from trade. He got a insane amount of gold from trade. Trade that I was sort of using. I mean, you saw I had a few traders, but I didn't make that many. He probably had like 20, 30 traders. I had like 6. It was not comparable. The scores, even that whole game, very close. It was a very close game. It really could have gone either way. I think it was just he did a push on the north side of the map. Wow, look at these casualties. Almost 1,000 dead. Huge armies from both of us. And yeah, like I mean, I gathered way more food, but I think that's just a product of he he couldn't gather food. His food economy was in shambles, but he still got more gold. Still got more gold. Relics, sacred site, trade. That's what makes it that difference. And I had relics too. I had one sacred site as well. I didn't show it in the replay, but I did. I did have one sacred site. So even with me trying to keep up, his gold income was greater. So hypothetically, he should have had more elite units. But yeah, he did research the same amount as me. I guess I finally got those eco upgrades eventually. But it was the timing. The timing made a big difference. I don't know why it said he got 7 relics. There was only 5 on that map. 141 villagers. Maybe slightly too many. Maybe a little too much. But that idle time is pretty crippling. So anyway, good game. Fun time. And that'll be the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed.